I love that.
I
How was
love
that?
it too. That was awesome.
Welcome,
Here he
everybody.
How am I
We are
supposed to follow up
live.
on that hype music? Oh my God.
Right.
Hey, that's all right. Gets that energy pumping, that vibe going. Now we got some calm, chill stream music in the background. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to this special episode we're going to put together for everyone, for all our viewers, our audience. Get the word out, raise awareness, break some stigmas, talk about friendships, all of it. We got some people in the chat, but everyone go ahead, introduce themselves. I'm going to give it to Ryan because this would have not been possible without Ryan. This all goes to one Zoom call, one conversation can spark so much more. So Ryan, thank you for connecting with me, allowing me to connect with you, and letting me put this together for us.
Yes, it's awesome you mentioned that because I remember during the conversation, we got all the way to the end. You're like, well, I don't think I can help you with work because you're already calling people and emailing people and trying to get new colleges on board with Better Mom. But then I was like, hey, I have this great idea. I'm really good friends with Miguel. We've supported each other through our mental health journey, and we met on LinkedIn. We've never met in person, but Miguel, I must say, is like one of my best friends, even though it's virtual. It's amazing. So, yeah, I want to pass it to Miguel and let him introduce himself and just share why he's so passionate about mental health.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm so excited to be here. So honored to have been asked by, DJ and Krista and Ryan to join, this live cast. I'm really excited. I started, everything that I have today, my business, my success, my mental health is, a lot of it is attributed to LinkedIn, stepping on LinkedIn, embracing my vulnerability, embracing my greatest strength, with this empathy, trying to meet people where they are and understand people. And I just had this mission to, do that on LinkedIn, create some change, create a community. And Ryan was one of the first friends that I made on LinkedIn, and it was he's an amazing guy. It's been same here. I feel he's one of my best friends. He calls me quite often. We talk quite often offline, and and so that's one of the great conversations we're going to have today. So yeah, I'm just really excited to be here. I'm excited. That hype music was so awesome. So
thank you.
I need to feel like that, but yeah, I'll just pass it along to Krista.
Awesome, you guys, so exciting. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. This is so great. I think I've been following along with your guys' journey for like a number of months. So it's like really fun to be doing this in person for Mental Health Awareness Month and, sharing our stories. Like you said, Miguel, like I feel like, being on LinkedIn has helped me as much as it helps the customers and clients that I work with. It's just been like an incredible platform for that. People are so compassionate and they are so caring, and it's just like great platform for that. So really looking forward to our conversation. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so exciting. Let's say hi to who's in the chat. I'm going to say thank you to everyone that's here. Yeah. So nice. I love the interaction, the real-time engagement. So I sent some love out to the chat. Thank you for everyone that's on LinkedIn. I also have my Twitch page on fire and YouTube. So thank you so much. Marissa, welcome. Hi. How are you? What's up? She gets the first shout out. She just got to the party, but that's all right. I said, Adam's here. Laura, thank you for being here, Laura. You're fantastic. LinkedIn user from Great Britain.
Oh, I think that's SEB.
Okay. Let's Kenneth Dunner Jr. It's not alive without Kenneth Dunner Jr.
Right.
Somewhere.
Flavor the flavor.
That's right. Jen, thank you for always being so supportive and always being an ally in this mission, in this voice. So I hope Nimbeo, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I think that's just a quick shout out to the individuals that are in the chat. Oh, David,
he's part of a mental health community I'm in. He's an awesome guy.
I don't know him, so hopefully we can connect. Will Sessions, hello, welcome. We're gonna have to find our links for the chat so people can connect that haven't connected. That's the way we continue to keep this mission going. And Marissa, thank you. Yes, thank you for supporting this live. This
It's
is
funny because I've been following Marissa for a while, and it was until Clubhouse that I really got to know her and connect with her, and so it was really awesome. It's great to see you, Marissa.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, she does amazing work. I know she does a lot of helping veterans, and she's out there doing a lot of good, solid work. So she's someone to connect with if you need some help with some marketing and public relations. I think. Let me know. Drop it in the chat, girl. Drop your info. We love to support each other here. So that's what friendships are all about. That's part of it, right? Finding who really you can support, and then they know you, they can understand you through the ups and the downs and all that, what we call personal stuff, but it's just who we are. It's just how we are, how we flow, right? It's our energy.
Heard that.
So, yeah, shout out to Tanzania. What's up? All right. I like that. This is some global shout outs. I'm drinking my Edge. Hey, I got my energy plus too. So that's the way we do for our mental water. So healthy, so important. Sleep. If you don't sleep, you should be sleeping. But yeah, friendships are so important. So I'm glad we're here. There's so much to talk about. Those connections, those support systems that we put together, that we have, appreciating them as they try to help us through our management of what we're going through in our mental health, in our issues, in our trauma, in our experiences, the ups and the downs that we all share. So who wants to talk about or give an example or share a story about something like an important friendship that really helped them get through their mental health?
Yeah, I mean, I can start it off for sure. I mean, as somebody who, I was diagnosed with PTSD back in 2016, and, a big part of, my, mental health was I was isolating myself. I isolated myself completely. Lost a lot of friends. Pretty much all my friends, isolated myself from my family. And, once I started going through my healing process, EMDR therapy specifically, I, really started to see the power of community. And, for so many years, even as a millennial, somebody who grew up with social media, I kind of really saw online relationships as kind of just weird and different and not as authentic or not as real, maybe. And so, getting onto this platform, LinkedIn, and starting to embrace this online community, and then having met somebody like Brian, who we connected off of a video that I made in regards to my, mental health. And he reached out and just simply, supported, what I was doing, my content. And, at that time, like, I was pretty new. I had never really connected with anybody online. Even as I was growing up, again, I was very cautious of online friendships, and I never really, it was like whole stranger danger thing that my parents and
right.
And so I was very just reserved about those possible relationships. And that's one thing I want to encourage, anybody listening and anybody, is to really, especially now in these times of Corona, and, people, our friends in Canada who are on complete lockdown, like, these are the times I really, really need to lean into our online communities and our online friendships and relationships and really value them. And I can tell you that I've had some of the most deepest conversations, with people that I've met online, like Ryan, and so it's just a really, it's very healing. It's good to have community and to have people that can relate to you. I mean, Ryan's diagnosis, that he talks about often is bipolar. Mine is PTSD. So we don't relate in our, exact mental health diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to find somebody that relates in that way. Just somebody that understands, like, who the things that you're going through, the nature of mental health, how important mental health is, other advocates like you all. Krista, like she said, we'd been following each other for a while. DJ, we've been connected too. When Ryan brought up your names, and I was like, yeah, I'm already connected to them. I don't know them 100. I've seen their content. I love their content. But it'd be great. And so these are, and that's another thing for people watching. Like, this is the first time that I've met Krista, on video, or DJ on video. But it's just like, you find people that vibe with you, that are, in the same circles as the people that you trust. I trust Ryan, like he's a best friend. And so if he tells me like, hey man, I've got these friends that I want to, introduce you to, let's have a conversation. Okay, Ryan, like I know you're a good person. I know you've got my best interest in mind. I know you know my struggles. I know that I'm trying to build boundaries. I know that this, that, and the other. And so if he brings something to me, I know it's, he's thought about all of that. And so that's why it's important to find good friends, and you can find those good friends online too.
I agree. I have something to say, but does anybody else want to go first and share? Go for it. Take it away.
Okay, so I'm not trying to go too far back, but in like 2018, it was December, I started making videos for LinkedIn, and they were not good. They were sales videos, and I was very awkward on camera. But then maybe like 6 months later, I randomly come across this video of this guy talking about his struggles with PTSD and how like he just wants to empower other people to like be successful even with a mental illness. So I message him, and he gives me his phone number and says, call me anytime. So I literally called him like right away. And I think you had a networking event or something that night, Miguel. And then we connected the following day, and I was just like, man, LinkedIn's so powerful. Like it can connect you with anyone all over the world, and you can build these relationships. It's different when it's not in person, but it's still just as meaningful, if not more, if you truly connect with the person. So I guess my message today is just like, embrace the relationships and the connections you have on LinkedIn. Don't worry about the number of reactions you get or comments or shares. Focus on building relationships and really getting to know people, because you won't regret it. Like there's so much value on LinkedIn throughout like the sales, mental health, all the communities.
Absolutely. I'll toggle onto that. Actually, Jen Russman, she's in the chat right now. We met on LinkedIn probably last June, so it's coming up on a year. And we still have never met in person, but we have similar struggles. I have bipolar, and what has been so like freeing is making connections with people that you can just openly talk about it. And it's like they are compassionate, they understand, they've had their own journey. I come from the corporate world, so like my whole LinkedIn up until about a year ago, I was like buttoned up. I didn't want like employers to know, and now just being open with my struggles and my journey, it's just so great because people start coming to you, and you get attracted to people that are like you, and having these amazing conversations that like not keeping it a secret anymore and having to worry if someone's going to find out, or, I'm not going to be able to get another job if they find out I have bipolar. And it's so I appreciate being an entrepreneur now. So I am my own boss. But the power of LinkedIn has been incredible this past year.
I really love how you mentioned that, Krista, in regards to, like being open is kind of like defeats that fear of like other people finding out and future clients and future, whatever, because that's a big fear that kept me from opening up on LinkedIn. Is when I started opening up on LinkedIn, I actually, didn't have a job. I didn't have a professional circle. I didn't know a lot of people. I didn't know where I was going. So I was afraid of potential employers, potential clients, potential anybody, these professionals, what would they think? How's it going to affect me? What opportunities am I going to miss? What doors won't be open? This, that, and the other. And now being on the other side of like, it's all out there. Like it's featured on my LinkedIn profile, like my stories, things that make me who I am. And now it's kind of, it's like, it's again, defeated that fear of, people finding out. You don't have to worry about that stress and that anxiety of, because it's you're being yourself, and you're putting your whole brand out there, and including your mental health, just like we do our physical health,
100%. Yes.
I'm on mute. Sorry. Do you want to talk? I mean,
go ahead. You're fine.
We have. Oh, okay. I guess I should put myself up there. I want to talk. I really appreciate this conversation. No, I'm just going to take it to the chat. This is what I'm really much better at. So shout out to Robert for being here. Welcome, Robert. Jen, always here. We are only as sick as our secrets. Ooh, powerful. Bomb right there. That is so good. So freeing, Krista. Yes. Salty, thank you for being here. I appreciate you, Adam. Always appreciate you being here. I know your comment, I keep pulling them up. If I didn't give a shout out to anyone that just popped in, forgive me. Mark, you keep doing your lives. I appreciate you and everyone here. And these are part of the connections, right, that I've made along the way. Like Laura, and you start building and networking and connecting, and you have the same mission and these goals to really, because the work is all genuine and it's from your heart, and it's with these good intentions to really offer what you can to individuals with going through their mental health struggles, letting them know that they're not alone. That's such a big part of today with NAMI and their message and their campaign for this month of May with You Are Not Alone. That's their hashtag. Throw a hashtag You Are Not Alone. I want everyone in the chat, please throw a hashtag You Are Not Alone. It's part of the campaign. So I really do appreciate how we can all support each other and build friendships on that truth, on that honesty. There shouldn't be no shame. There should be no guilt. There should be no judgment, that like feeling judged, that makes you feel so small and insignificant, and it cuts away at you. And that's what I personally work against, right? It's people finding their value despite their disability or despite their trauma or despite a mental health diagnosis. But it's really just staying true to yourself and your strengths. And that's something I really talk about when I'm working with my clients, and I'm working to facilitate that personal growth, right? Is focus on your strengths and don't let that diagnosis get you. And then building your support system, building your systems around you, your environment, right? Taking care of it, protecting your bubble. We have to protect our bubble in these days and times. It's just so important. Thank you. Everyone's throwing up that hashtag You Are Not Alone. That is so true. Thank you. I appreciate it. No one should feel alone. There's got to be someone you can reach out to in the middle of the night, in the darkest of the dark, and when you're feeling just the most vulnerable and raw, and you're terrified. Those are the moments you feel the most terrified. Who can you reach out to? Find one person, make that connection. Say, hey, when I need you, will you be that person? I don't want to scare you, but sometimes we all need that person. So it shouldn't be like, if you need that person. I think everyone needs that person. So you know what? I'm going to stand back and correct myself on that.
Yeah, and I think, these hashtags are a great way to let people know that you're somebody that they can, find some safety in, that somebody that they can relate to. We don't tell you to, throw up hashtags just for fun. It really is it's like a bat signal to people, like, hey, I support people in mental health. I'm here to talk. And, on that subject, it's important that while we're talking about, being friends, it's important to know how to be a friend to somebody who's struggling, with mental health, and, knowing things that you should and shouldn't say, and how you should treat people. And one thing I tell people is, if you have somebody in your life that's going through a mental health struggle, it's not for you to understand. And so often, people think that they need to understand, like, help me understand what you're going through, help me understand what it is. And it's not that, when somebody's in like their deepest, darkest moments, it's not that they're needing to be understood. It's really just really need to be acknowledged, like that they're there. Give them the space and the time to really just express what's going on right now without you, needing to fix it. We as friends, we come from a good space. We want to help people and we want to fix their problems, but oftentimes that really just causes more stress or more in those moments. And so we need to know that, like, as friends, we got to be agile. We got to be adaptive to the environment. What's going on right now? Is it a good time to give advice? Is it a good time to, tell them about, again, suicidal, support and stuff like that. It's you have to just feel what the situation is and be able to address that. But it's so important. And even asking questions, like your friends, when you go into this week and this whole month, instead of asking your friends, hey, what's up? How are you? Or how are you doing? Like, how are you really doing? Just simple intentional words can really be impactful when you're trying to support your friends. So those are some things to keep in mind for sure.
Absolutely.
And Miguel brought up like a really important point in his previous dialogue about I have bipolar disorder and Miguel has PTSD, but that doesn't mean we can't seek to understand what's going on and really support each other. Just because I don't have the exact same struggles that he's facing, we can still relate to each other and recognize that we both have a mental illness and we can provide support.
Totally. Makes me take you all back to 2015. I actually had a manic episode that put me in the hospital for like 30 days. So when I came out, I was very fragile. I was very scared still. I was having, thoughts that weren't true, really scary thoughts. And I remember my really, really good friend, she picked me up to go to dinner. I wouldn't leave the house unless I was with somebody. And no. I followed her because we met for dinner. And then as I was leaving to get back in my car that night, I all of a sudden started having paranoid thoughts that people were following me, that the FBI, the CIA were after me. I was having very bad delusional thoughts. She said, "Don't worry, you follow me. I'm going to follow you all the way home." Must have been a 15-minute drive. And she brought me all the way home. I followed her. And she was so compassionate. She didn't all of a sudden start like judging me, like, what's going on? Like asking any questions. She just stayed in the flow and did whatever it was that would make me feel comfortable so that I get home safe. And I will always remember that. It was years ago, but it was like I never felt judged in the moment. I didn't feel shameful for having those thoughts. She just was with me each step of the way. And, that doesn't always happen with people seeing something like that.
Can I piggyback off that? Can I keep going? Awesome. So I had a manic episode in 2018 due to like a stressful job and some other issues going on, but NAMI was there to support me. A lot of my friends don't understand why I act a certain way when I have a manic episode, but in Appleton, Wisconsin, we have something called Iris Place, which is a peer-run respite where people are able to get peer support and live there for up to a week. So that was just a great like safe haven for me to go to and be able to get that peer support. I ended up having to go to the hospital ultimately just because, my meds weren't functioning properly. But knowing that I have Iris Place there, they do groups. There's just tons of peer support activities there outside for people who aren't even staying there. So there's a lot of great resources out there. One other thing is there's something called a warm line, and it's a peer support line where you can get support from a peer who also struggles with the mental illness and really get their perspective on things and just feel like someone's listening to you. And it's free. That's the best part. It doesn't cost any money. Like I know therapy can be expensive sometimes, but the warm lines are all free and they're accessible, I think, 24/7.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and drop that PDF we found in the chat from NAMI. And, I'm just going to put the website there for them. And
I think that's really important. Krista and Ryan, you all, both are talking about in regards to like having people there. And for anybody that's out there struggling, or if you know somebody that might be struggling and you want to kind of encourage them to get help, encouraging people to just, again, seek these people online that are open to have these conversations, that are looking also to relate to somebody else. I mean, that's really what started my healing back in, 2016, 2017. After I was diagnosed with PTSD and went to talk therapy, I just did talk therapy and it didn't really work. So I was looking for something different. And it was when I found online communities that I really started to, open up in my mental health and dig deeper and really seek deeper healing. And so for anybody out there that's struggling, I encourage you to, it might seem weird, but somebody out there like on LinkedIn, be it one of us or somebody that you see, or on other social platforms, if they're posting about mental health content, it usually means that they're open to support people struggling with mental health as well. So reach out to them like Ryan did, and just like say like, hey, I'd like to talk, or could you jump on a quick 15-minute call and I'd like to get some advice or something like that, or even just email. Some people aren't comfortable jumping on a call right away. just text back and forth, message back and forth, but take advantage and lean into that, because that can really open you up to then starting to go see a therapist and then a psychiatrist and getting your help. But a lot of times it starts online. And so really, that's where it started for me is online and embracing these relationships on here. And it can be the same for other people.
And it's like our struggles, they make us stronger. And the stronger we get, the more support we're going to be able to provide to other people when we're in a healthy, stable state of mind. Like, I feel like I'm in a really good position right now, but I know just as well, like, I could have another mental health crisis situation at any time. So it's important to just like be educated on it and not only be able to recognize the signs that you're facing that cause, to get in a crisis situation, but be able to support the people around you through your lived experiences, something that's really important.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Brian. And Krista, I'm curious to know a little bit more about your friend. Is that something that you had educated her about, like in regards to where you were in your journey? And, maybe was that like tips that you'd given her about how to deal with you in those situations? Or do you think it was just something that she was already educated about? And
so she knew that I had the bipolar, and she knew kind of like my past struggles and like things that would, trigger me, like, cause she was actually a coworker. So she would, like, if there was something stressful going on, she was one of those people that has like a lot of empathy and can feel like other people's feelings kind of thing. So I never told her like what to do if something happened. Like, she just kind of knew. I think it just came from a place of like a good heart and empathy and just recognizing that what needs to happen.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, and those people are rare, and we need to really take advantage of those people. I mean, not take advantage, but like,
yeah.
We know what you mean.
Be grateful.
Yeah, be grateful.
Support system.
This is recorded, Miguel. This is going to come back to bite you.
Right. Yeah, hold those people close to you and don't let them go, because it's not often. I mean, Ryan, there's been times where he's called me, and there's been times, where I've called him, or I've, let him know I'm going through something, and, we're there to support each other. And so it's really important to have those people in your life that can really kind of go with the flow. Like you had said, Krista, that's such an amazing experience to have, because often, we're so afraid to even let people in, or, let people know that something like that is going on in the, in the time. So yeah, that's awesome. What a cool experience.
Something that, sorry, Krista.
No, go ahead, Ryan.
So with Iris Place, after I was like out of the hospital and stuff, I created something called a RAP plan, which is a wellness recovery action plan.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, and it was an awesome resource to have. Like, I have all my support network people, all the resources I need, what I'm going to do if I run into a crisis situation, who I'm going to talk to. So there's just so many ways to like educate yourself, but prepare yourself as well if you are to have like a mental health issue and you need support. Knowing where to go is probably one of the most important portions of that.
Yeah, those wellness recovery action plans it's almost like your will and testament. If something happened and you're in a manic episode, or you're in a crisis because you're depressed, those are not good times to be making decisions like, what is your hospital that you prefer to go to? What are medications that you react to? Like, so it's really like a plan. So in a crisis, everything is there, and you don't have to, worry what's going to happen because you have a plan in place.
I love that. Those are really awesome resources. We'll have to tap into those, and not to look into that. I hadn't heard of that one before, but it goes into something else that I wanted to talk about in regards to like being preventative. Oftentimes like we think of mental health care as, just this thing that we do when things get tough and when it goes down the drain and we're in our darkest moments. But it gets like that because we're not being preventative, and, being preventative means like seeking to feel those emotions and revisiting those pains and those traumas, and taking care of yourself and having those boundaries. And so it's important that we begin to think of mental health care as a prevention thing, and not just like a last minute, last ditch effort. And so I love that there's resources out there. I'd love to go around and hear from anybody on the panel, you guys, like, what's something that you do to, take care of your mental health and be preventative as far as, having a crash. And, for me, in regards to, my PTSD, is having boundaries. Empathy, like I said, is one of my greatest strengths. And, with that, I can often, as I grew up, didn't know how to say no, and I didn't want to say no. I wanted to be there for everybody, and I wanted to support as many people as I could. But learning more about myself and my mental health and what I've got going on in my current situations. Not everybody has 4 boys like I do. Not everybody is an entrepreneur. Not everybody. So I can't do the things that everybody else is doing. I have to do what's best for me. And so being aware of boundaries has been really big for me, especially on social media, because this is the first time that I've really created an online community and had to, take care of an online community. And so being aware of boundaries is huge in my space. And so I'd love to hear from anybody else, something that you do to, just be preventative and take care of your mental health care.
Sure.
Wait,
oh, go ahead, Roy.
We keep doing this. Do you want to go first this time?
Sure. Oh, it's fine. I'll go. Wait, did I hear that right? You have 4 boys?
Yes.
Wow. I have 1 little guy.
One.
That's amazing. For me, like my self-care and like preventative and wellness and all of that is pretty simple. Like sleep is number 1 priority. Like I have to go to bed pretty much at the same time every night and get a good quality 8 hours of sleep. Eating a diet that's good for like mental wellness, chicken and fish and vegetables, and I have sweets a little bit, but I try to just eat stuff that makes me feel good. Drinking tons of water, getting on my bike and exercising, when I'm feeling anxious or whatever. I always say motion moves emotion. So just getting, the basics is what I kind of focus on.
I love that. Before you go, Ryan, I love that you said that, Krista, because something that I always tell people and it stays stuck in my mind is, emotions are energy in motion. And that's the reason why we have to deal with our emotions, because otherwise, if that energy stays stuck, at some point that energy is going to need to move in motion. And oftentimes it's in a negative, aspect, and at the least, convenient time, whether it's be rage or anger or frustration. And so that's why it's really important to, deal with our emotions, because that energy. So I love that you said that. That's so cool.
Thanks.
I wanted to share a statistic that I came across maybe a week or 2 ago, and it's that 1 out of 8 emergency room admissions are associated with a mental health or substance abuse issue. And I think there's just not enough education right now, especially like I look back at grade school, there was 0 mental health education in grade school. So just to get back, like I think a lot of these issues can be prevented if people understand what to look for in their family and their friends and their coworkers. And that's just not the case right now. So for me, my preventative measures are obviously taking my medicine consistently. Sleep is super important with bipolar. And what helps me a lot is having a routine. So I schedule my day on the calendar as much as I can, but I put self-care activity on my calendar 2 or 3 times a day. So I know I need to step away, take a break from work, and just like do something that's going to be beneficial to me outside of like my professional work experience. Like just taking time to go on LinkedIn or take a short walk or drink some water. Like it can be really simple things, but just having that routine there makes a huge difference. And like, I'm a firm believer that the way you start your day sets the tone for the rest of the day. So I really hyper focus on getting as much like meaningful things done in that first hour, whether it be listening to pump up music or just joining a clubhouse room or whatever I have to do to like feel like ready for the day. That has helped me the most.
That's awesome. I guess I should go. I guess I should take my turn. So for me, I know the question applies to you too, DJ. Okay, you cannot squirrely away from the question. But for me, self-care, I do like taking care of my skin and my hair, and like that type of self-care, yoga, meditation, even if it's for 15 minutes. Just trying to get some of that energy out, that the feeling, getting the flow. Something else I love to do is garden. I love to go outside and garden and be outside. So, and I'm in Florida, so it's hot outside, but I can burn, it's therapeutic in so many ways, for like mentally, psychologically, but physically also. And, where you're with nature, you're really bonding, connecting, grounding yourself. For me, that's something that I have to practice for my own mental well-being, is staying grounded, the senses, and just understanding, staying in the present. So just like those little self-care for me works. And then that's kind of why.
I love that, DJ. I actually just got back from Seattle, had a family vacation, and oh man, how amazing it was for my mental health, to be around so many. And I got so lucky. We were out there and it only rained. We were out there for 5 days. It only rained one day. It was beautiful, sunny weather. And it was, we got to hike mountains. We got to go to the beach. We got to, go into the city, and so having all these different experiences were really cool. For mental health. I love this is amazing.
Hi, Gigi. Just got to give a shout out to Gigi real quick. She's here. Hey, Jihan. Thanks for stopping by. If you want to make any comments about the chat, anything you've seen in the chat, and let me know if anybody wants to reflect on anything there. That would be great. Not only 1 in 8 out of ER visits are mental health related, but supportive infrastructure. Mark is on a roll here. People with mental health issues is eroded. Wow. Yes. Oh, Mark, that's deep. He's taking it so deep. I don't know what to say to that comment, but we appreciate all the comments and all the contributions. Recharging yourself every few minutes. Yes. Water, a break, not, just doing what works for you. Self-care every day. Yes. I think we read it. Okay. A meditation. Jeffrey, thank you for stopping by. I had a wonderful conversation with him today. Really found it powerful, connected. Meditation and stoicism has helped him. That's something we did talk about in our conversation, and just having those kinds of practices.
I think these are things to recognize mental health is it's really about finding what works for you. All different experiences, perspectives, surroundings, you have to really what's best for you. What works for me might not work for you. What works for Krista might not work for you. We really all find it's like Mark A, B, T. I'm telling you, like a first experience therapy. It was therapy, and it didn't work.
Miguel, I think we're having audio issues.
Sound like a robot, man.
I'm not sure if it's the ear. You have earbuds or.
I don't.
Okay, or Wi-Fi maybe. That's all right. Just let me give you a little. We can hear you. It's kind of not as clear as it was a few moments ago.
No, not anything. It's really weird. I hear you.
Oh, okay, that's all right. Yeah, well, thank you. It's always a good time. Here, let me go. It's always a good time to get good advice on mental illness. Right, reaching out, reaching those support systems. Something I wanted to talk about was not everyone has access to care. I think we did touch on this a little bit in the conversation, but sometimes you just kind of have to create and make do with what you have, right? And just being able to do that, it's hard as it can be, finding that those moments where you can figure out how you can start to create a better, healthier environment for yourself. And friendships is a way to do that, right? And clearing out some of the toxic, maybe creating space between those toxic relationships around you, and leaning more into those healthier, supportive friendships and relationships that you have found. And I know friendships is kind of like, really fun way. It's, lighthearted friends. Like there's the connotation of like a deep connectedness where you can really, and that's really, important in being human and the way we socialize and part of our mental wellness. I think that that's something that we all have to give a lot of attention to. It's just like we nurture these relationships. How are we nurturing those relationships and friendships, acquaintances, colleagues, professional business relationships, right? Are we doing it with compassion, keeping in mind what the other person may be going through, feeling, sensing, experiencing, what happened that morning before they got on that Zoom call or before they got to the office, quote unquote. But just, practicing that all throughout any interaction and any communication with the intent. Oh no, what happened? Oh God, we're all having like issues. Holy moly. Oh, I'm back. Thank you. It's one of those days. It must be, but that's okay. But really just nurturing the healthier bonds and really trying to create space from the unhealthier bonds for yourself, for your own mental wellness. We want to encourage people to get services, get care, get treatment, but we don't want to discredit, what you can do. If you don't have like full-on access insurance, right? Because that's just part of it, and we haven't really even talked about like a minority part of it. Oh man, we're having like stuff going on all over the place. This is okay though. This is the way we roll live. Oh, he's back. I heard the ding ding ding. But really is taking it back to friendships and connections and those support systems. And while we're here and just, like G for me has been someone that I've really been able to lean into through this as I continue to live stream. Even before I started, all the fear, the anxiety, the negative self-talk, the imposter syndrome, just everything. And just finding that connection and just nurturing what I knew was right for me to be able to continue to assist and be available to others in their journey. So she was there for me, and I like to pass that on. That's part of the whole show and part of the premise and the streaming and the purpose of having these conversations is to create the support, create the safe space, let relationships be nurtured. When we're in the chat, we're nurturing those relationships. We're showing that empathy skills. We're showing those compassion skills. We're leading with that. And for me, the more we do it, the more natural it becomes, right? So for me, that's where this episode and this conversation is so important, especially on LinkedIn when you have so many business relationships where, you have to add that human. You have to be aware. You have to be so aware and be considerate of that. It's not all just the typical other stuff that we expect, right? It's also including this part of us and who we are as people into those business relationships. Yeah, and friendships. Anyways, that's all I'm gonna say. Let me see. What's up?
Are you guys still getting feedback when I talk?
Oh no, you sound really good right now.
Okay,
He's cool like that. Yeah, she is. Yeah, no, you sound good.
Okay, cool.
Gee, thank you so much. So proud of you. I'm proud of you too, girl. You got that LinkedIn Live. Come on, fire it up.
Yeah, one thing I'd love to hear from everybody too is just, like what being transparent about your mental health on LinkedIn and in your professional circles has done for you professionally. I mean, I know Ryan, I'd love you to talk about it, and anybody else, what it's done for you, any opportunities that it's opened up, more than just community, but what's it done for you professionally? Oftentimes we think it's going to affect us negatively, but how's it affected you positively?
Yeah, so I used to be really cautious about the things I shared about my mental illness on LinkedIn, but pretty much shared everything now, mainly because the CEO of my company, Cody, is just super supportive, and we've had discussions about how important it is to not just have like the better mind aspect to it, but people want to get to know Ryan, the person. And I think LinkedIn's just an amazing place to do that. I know like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I shared my story about having to go to a psychiatric facility. And I know that's not an easy thing to do on a professional network, but I got so much support and so many messages. Like, I'm not the only one going through this. It's just other people don't feel ready yet to disclose that kind of stuff because they don't understand or they don't realize like what kind of repercussions could happen as a result of it. So I think I'm not saying that everybody should share everything about their mental health on LinkedIn, but so many definitely share what you feel comfortable with. I'm not the
And you got the current job that you have after you started sharing about your mental health, right, Ryan?
Yep.
Yeah, so that kind of really like fed into Ryan. Works for a company, Better Mind, right? And it's like they do mental health. They do work in the mental health area, and so Ryan sharing content on mental health, kind of really helped show his leaders who he was and helped him get into that position. And so, I mean, I know for me professionally, it's opened up a lot of doors and opportunities that I wouldn't have had otherwise, and people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. I mean, what I never started creating content on LinkedIn with an intention to have my own business. What happened is I started sharing content about my mental health and in the professional world, and that opened up an opportunity for me to start my own business. And so, again, it's just to go to show people like, that it doesn't always affect you negatively. And just like Ryan said, we're not saying that everybody needs to do that, but if it's right for you and your bigger goals and what you're trying to do, and if you're trying to connect with people or building community or coachings or things like that. And Krista and DJ, if you guys wanted to about that, I'd love to know.
Yeah, 100%. So it's interesting because I actually have my own mental wellness business. I'm partnered with Amari Global. And before I started, I had like no social media presence. I was like one of those lurkers on social media where I'd like read everything, didn't comment, didn't put a picture of myself, God forbid, So like I took a big, it was like a big, what do you call it? Like not leap
step.
Yeah, it was a big step. It was like I didn't see the other side, but I just said, okay, I've been called. This is like what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I started showing up on social media, and it took time, right? But now I have people, reaching out to me on LinkedIn, like, oh my gosh, I think my husband has bipolar. This is what he's doing. I'm seeing this, I'm seeing that. Like, what can I do to help him? And like just showing up as my authentic self. And I'm not posting about bipolar every day, but people know, and I've met some great people along the way. Like if I didn't have maybe bipolar on my profile, I may have never met DJ and all you awesome people. So, it's just that, and it's like a ripple effect. I met DJ, and then on her live stream, I came across two gentlemen that were interested in elevating their mental wellness and, looking at supplementation. And so they became in my circle and in my world. And it just like, it's like a ripple effect. And it's just, I'm so grateful for it.
I love that. That's awesome to hear. DJ, what about you? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. Thank you. I was just going to talk about the comments. Mark makes a great point. People should share when they are ready. If they're not ready, that's okay. So true.
Yeah.
So that's so valid. And I just wanted to share that loudly. Those comfortable doing should share their stories that have an impact and support those people. Something that comes to mind when I read that is also like, your story is your story and you say it how you want. No one can tell you that you need to share more and give more details than really you feel, right? So, and it goes back to like when someone writes a book, right? What I put in the book is what I put in the book because that's what I wanted to share. I don't want to share any more than what's in the book, and people shouldn't. So it really goes along with those boundaries that we talked about, respecting others' boundaries, giving people space to create or find their boundaries. It's just, there's so many different stages, right, of this exploration of coming to terms with. One comment I had heard earlier in the chat, I don't know if they're still here, Kenneth Dunner Jr., I think. Oh my God, my ADD brain's just gonna go fly that thought out the window. I think it just took it away. Oh man, I made a comment. I was talking this morning with somebody else, and I said, the roller coaster, it'll bring it back. That roller coaster will bring the thought back.
Right.
Boomerang effect.
Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, just being ready, allowing space for people to be ready.
Yeah, I think that's really important distinction to make, just because, people, like us are sharing about our mental health, Ryan and myself and Krista, and, doesn't mean that everybody needs to share online. We're not saying that it's, you do need to share with somebody, be it a professional, be it a friend, be it at some point, and you need to bring yourself and work yourself to that point to when you're ready and get yourself there to that point. But and not, again, online is not the way for everybody. What we're doing it for is for bigger purposes, for different reasons. For myself, I'm wanting to allow my story, my original purpose for creating content on LinkedIn is to start breaking down the stigmas of mental health in the corporate space. And I thought, why not? No place is better than LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is full of CEOs, decision makers, people in business who can go into their worlds and, like Krista said, create a ripple effect, into their own worlds of knowledge. And I've had so many CEOs and executives and people reach out to me and tell me that, how my story has impacted them or encouraged them to go seek therapy or hire a mental health coach in their organization or rethink their mental health benefits for their organization, things like that. And so, when you have a bigger purpose, you leverage these networks and but not everybody needs to do it this way. Not on Facebook, not on Instagram, whatever is best for you, but definitely not isolating yourself and not holding it in, because releasing that it's energy that you're releasing. It feels like so much weight lifted off your shoulders when you finally share. I know my thing, again, with PTSD, the reason I was diagnosed is I was sexually abused as a child, and for years 2016 happened, and I felt like it was written across my forehead, and I was so ashamed and embarrassed, and I wouldn't tell anybody, and I didn't want to, and I wanted to hold it tight forever, and that made it so much worse. And it wasn't until I finally released that in a video on LinkedIn that I found real healing and letting things go, and not feeling like everybody knew and everybody was judging me. And
pretty secret, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so, it's important that we do find, and it's work. It takes work, and it's hard work. It's emotional work. It's painful work. It's
ongoing work. Ongoing.
Nobody's here to tell you that you can go see a therapist or open up a post on LinkedIn and things are going to get easy. It's hard work to do, but it's intentional work, and it's necessary work if you really want to heal your mental health.
DJ, can you pull up Jeffrey Johnson's superpower comment? Because I think that's super important. No pun intended. This is like something I was talking about earlier today in a Clubhouse room, which is so funny. Like, I view my bipolar as my superpower. And the reason I view it as my superpower is because without those lived experiences, I would have not learned any of those lessons, without a mental illness. It has taught me so much. And when you learn to control it, I mean, it is a superpower. Like, you function at a high level when you understand how to control your mental illness and keep it in check. So I just wanted to highlight that. That stood out to me when I saw that comment.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yes. Okay. So I guess here we go. A moment of honesty and rawness. So I had the conversation with Jeffrey. I've never considered myself like ADD, even though it's kind of went in and out of my head throughout my lifetime. But we were talking about neurodiversity, and he was like, nope. So we're going to call this a soft diagnosis. A soft diagnosis. I've embraced it. As soon as he said it, I felt like a light bulb went off. I had such a moment, and I felt like he gets me. He knows. Wow. Powerful. Yeah. So I walked away virtually away from that, just feeling so like validated and just like, okay, this is so cool. Like, I just learned something new about myself, something that maybe I knew, but I think that, and I just wrote it down because the roller coaster came back to catch more people to reload. But it was awareness, but only acceptance as well. I think KDJ talked about acceptance. We've talked about this for me personally on other episodes. That's not just having the conversation and awareness, but when you find that acceptance, it's like, wow, okay, this is not, you can keep moving, you can keep going.
Yeah, I think that
component piece. Go ahead, girl.
Yeah. About the acceptance piece, that was like huge for me, because it wasn't till I accepted that I had something wrong, could I actually do something about it.
Wrong. It's not wrong.
I mean, it's not wrong. It's like
something different.
Unique.
Thank you. So it wasn't until I identified, because there was a time, I got diagnosed, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, like a year later, I don't need these medications, blah, blah, blah. And then we saw what was going on and I had the thoughts again and everything. So, but it wasn't until I started, I don't know if support groups still exist because of COVID, but it wasn't until I went to that first support group where literally people from different walks of life, different ages, different backgrounds as each one went around and said what was going on, each one of them was telling a part of my story. Say, what? You thought the FBI was after you? And I don't even know you. You're from like a different city, like whatever. And it was like, not until I hear all these different stories where I'm like, oh, well, I guess I need to do something about this because it's real, it's happening. And that acceptance piece allowed me to move forward. But when I was in denial that there was something wrong, there's nothing I can do because I wasn't
not wrong. Something unique.
Something unique and special and different.
Yes. Part of changing the language, right? Catching ourselves.
My wild bipolar brain.
Helping each other change the language, keeping ourselves like understanding and not perpetuating those stigmas, perpetuating those stereotypes that it is something wrong with us because we are diagnosed with this or that, or, you know. So, yes, acceptance is huge and it opens doors. Absolutely. Mark says, even though the drugs work for me, I thank God for my parents who never drugged me or put me in special classes. You learn to deal awareness, acceptance, and finding your way. Awesome. Yes, we find our way. Absolutely. Nothing is wrong with us. There, Jen says it. Take it from the coach.
It's important to keep in mind, you know, how words are powerful. You know, the words that we use to talk to ourselves, and it's important to correct ourselves. And you know, because the conversation, everybody has conversations in their head. You know, everyone talks to themselves, and so it's important to be sure that you're using nice words, kind words, intentional about the words you're using to talk to yourself. So that definitely brought up a good point. And you know, the point about medication, you know, it's definitely a part of what I said earlier, like finding what works for you. And you can't look at one person and say that, oh, because they're not or because they are, I need to or I don't need to, you know, because we're all so very different in this world, and you know, the environments we're in, how we were raised. And so it's important to just know that there's no right or wrong, you know, when it comes to medication. And it's about finding what works for you. And the unfortunate reality though with medication is that everyone needs to know that it is a trial and error. It is an A and B testing and seeing what works best for you. And so you might have to go through some ups and downs to find, you know, that right, you know, dosage or whatever it is. But you'd have to be willing, and it will get you some healing. And again, it's just finding what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
Something I try to follow as far as like self-talk goes is, if I wouldn't say it to a friend or a family member, why am I saying it to myself? And I still struggle with this at times. We are our own worst self-critics. So I think it's really important to just remember to, like Miguel said, be kind to your mind. Take the time to really just say positive things or frame things in a positive perspective, because it can definitely change the trajectory of your day just by doing positive self-talk.
I agree. So important. Anybody else? We're wrapping up. We've hit up just about the hour mark. This went by quick. I went ahead and I dropped everyone's LinkedIn pages in the chat one by one. Let me pull myself up for a minute. So that way anyone that wants to connect or is watching this can have points to connect with there on LinkedIn. If anybody else wants to share how they can connect, we can go around. I'll let everyone say how you can connect with me. If you really have anything else that you want to share as we start to close up the conversation. Hopefully we touched on everything that really was something important to each of us that we wanted to share and give as a gift to, you know, those that will hopefully watch this and hopefully find some value. Well, they will find some value. They will find some value in this. So thank you. I thank you, Adam. I just appreciate everyone that's been coming through, connecting with everyone in the conversation, just expanding our network in this. Oh, expanding our network, expanding our support systems, our friendships, nurturing those positive, healthy, understanding, compassionate relationships that we should hold near and dear to our hearts. The ones that really kind of get us through. And hopefully we can find a way for everyone to find connection. Somehow they can connect, have that one person they can call in the middle of the night. Damn, that's always the hardest. Is
That's you, Miguel. I'm calling you 3 a.m. It's coming.
That moment in the darkness when everyone's asleep and it's you and your mind. And the mind does not want to leave you alone. It doesn't want to rest. It doesn't want to stop. So, I think we didn't really even touch about suicide awareness. I think it's something that I have to talk about, and being, saying it's okay. We need to talk about it. You can ask about it. Ask if you feeling suicidal. Do you have any ideations, thoughts of suicide? This question, it's okay to ask. I'm so passionate about this because people are so scared. Why is it so taboo to ask that question? And the statistic, I don't talk about statistics, but mental health issues, 1 in 4, 1 in 5. Let's leave it right around there. Less the ones that don't get treated. I mean, there's just such a gap. But asking that question, knowing and being available, like Krista said about her friend, just kind of just easing it, just being available, not really pecking or going at you, but just knowing who you can go to when you're feeling that, because it really does matter on the person. It really does matter. Oh gosh, we all know what happens when you go to the wrong person in those moments, right? And how that can just trigger and just make it worse. So it's just being careful and gentle and aware for yourself, knowing your circle. And being able to reach out and being able to reach in. I think you got to reach in too. You got to ask people, hey, are you okay? Do you need help? Hey, I'm here. Don't forget I'm here. You're not alone. So.
Yeah, I love that. One thing I would say is, I tell people often, we all have, just like we all have physical health, we all have mental health. One difference is, with physical health, we're able to go at it individually and just go to the gym by ourselves and put your headphones on and, do your diet and do your meal preps and all that stuff all alone. Mental health, though, is so not something that you can do alone. It's something that has to be done in community, and it's important to realize that it takes a support system, and friends are just one part of that support system. Think about the people in your life, and mental health is exhausting. It's a lot of work. It's can be painful, and so you don't want to put that on just one person. And so make sure that you're doing what's best for you and seeking a whole system. Professionally, be it supplements, be it exercise, be it your therapist, your friends, your wife, your spouse. It needs to be a system. It needs to be a community effort. And so keep that in mind as you seek mental health care and you seek to take care of yourself. Is that while we hear that a lot right now is, we all have, physical health, we all have mental health, but mental health, you can't go at it alone like you can with physical health. And so make sure that you bring people in and you just lean into the community. That's my last thing. So it's been a great conversation. It was really awesome being here.
Awesome. Let's see. Who else is going to go? Let's see. Anybody want to say their final words?
Yeah, so just kind of tying into what Miguel's saying about getting support, something it frustrates me is when someone breaks their arm and they get a cast, everybody's wanting to sign it when they get back from the ER or whatever. But when you go to the hospital for a mental illness, there's not support out there. And that's why it's so important to build out that network of people you can trust and go to at 3 a.m. when you need to call somebody because you're in crisis mode. So just building out your network or support system and knowing who you need to go to in different situations. So that'd be my
four of
word
us
of
right
advice.
here. There's four of us right here.
Exactly. Yeah. So the same thing. It's just, having that compassion for someone. You may not understand what they're going through. You may not be able to feel it, but just being there and just listening. I always say mental health, when people get a depression or bipolar, You know, it's not like when they get cancer or something where they come running, bring you a casserole or bring you something and make you feel comfortable, because people don't know. So if there's somebody that you know that is struggling, just listen to them and just ask some questions and just show them that you actually care. And you don't have to have, how can I help you? Like, you don't have to have any of the answers. And I will say, hopefully no one on this live stream is feeling suicidal, but in my darkest of days, I had to always remind myself that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I always say, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. It's temporary. So, you know, just be that support for somebody and be caring, compassionate, and ask how you can help.
There's an acronym for hope. It's hold on, pain ends. And I think it's a super important thing to remind yourself when you're struggling, is there's a rainbow at the end of the storm. So just weather it out, do what you have to do, but it gets brighter on the other side. And I can testify to that firsthand.
Awesome. All right. Sounds good. Well, I appreciate everyone's time here. We've done conversation has been, hopefully very rewarding, and we will continue to push forward with these messages, to have these conversations and create community, create safe spaces, create conversations. Yes, Mark, thank you. Hold on, pain ends. Hope. There is hope out there. There's people out there, individuals out there that want to assist and don't want you to give up. There's 4, 5, 6 people in the chat. There's so many of us. We're making this community. We're growing together. We're stronger together. We're better together. And we will continue to do the work together, hopefully, right? As allies in the fight. So, all right. I think we're going to go ahead and pull everybody up. We're going to say our goodbyes, and I'm going to end this broadcast as we say thank you to everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes. Thank you. And we will see each other hopefully soon in some other virtual capacity. So have a good